So, you're thinking about hiring an automation consultant. It's a big decision, right? And honestly, it can go one of two ways. Get it right, and it's a total game changer for your business, but get it wrong? Well, it could be an absolute disaster that just burns through time and money. The difference really comes down to knowing what to ask before you sign anything. Okay, let's jump in.
Here's our game plan for this explainer. We're going to start with what I call the automation hiring gamble. Then we'll walk through the key questions you need to ask about their process, their plans for support, and how they prove results. And we'll wrap it all up with a final litmus test that'll help you spot a real partner from a pretender.
So let's talk about that gamble. You've heard all the buzzwords they throw around, right? Workflows, scalability, synergy. But what does any of that actually mean for your business? The truth is, without a solid plan, they're just empty words, and they can lead to some serious buyer's remorse.
And the stakes here are really, really high. Are you about to bring on someone who's going to streamline everything and free up dozens of hours a week? Or are you about to pay someone to add a bunch of confusing new systems, create friction for your team, and build something that just doesn't fit the way you actually work?
But here's the good news. You don't have to just roll the dice and hope for the best. You can totally avoid those common disasters. The key to making the right choice, it all comes down to asking the right questions, right from the very start.
All right, let's get into our first set of questions. This is all about digging into their process and the tools they use. And this is where you figure out something absolutely crucial. Are they here to solve your problem, or are they just here to sell you their solution?
So the very first thing you need to ask is this. How are you going to customize this for my specific business needs? This question cuts right to the chase. It helps you figure out if you're getting a solution that's tailor-made for you or just an off-the-rack system that's gonna feel a little off.
And here's why that is so important. You want to avoid what I call the hammer and nail problem. If all you have is a hammer, everything starts to look like a nail. Some consultants only know their one system, and they will try to force your business to fit into it. That means your team has to switch platforms, learn new tools. It just creates a ton of friction and works against everything you've already built.
And this slide just lays out the difference perfectly. A huge red flag is when you hear, "Oh, we'll just plug you into our system." Nope. The green flag, the thing you want to hear, is, "Okay, let's start by looking at what you're already using. We'll build the automation around your current tools so your team doesn't have to change a thing."
Which, of course, leads you right to the next question. Which tools and platforms do you recommend, and why? Pay close attention to that why. It's not just about what tools they know, it's about their strategic thinking behind those choices.
See, a true expert isn't married to one specific tool. Their loyalty should be to whatever works best for you. That means they should know the whole landscape, from popular tools like Zapier and Make to more powerful stuff like NN, all the way to custom scripts and APIs. They need to understand the pros and cons of each one for your situation.
And this is a huge distinction to listen for. A salesperson pushes one tool because that's what they sell. A real strategic partner, on the other hand, will lay out a few different options for you. They'll explain the trade-offs between, say, Zapier and Make, based on your budget, your team's skills, and what you're trying to achieve. They're not selling a product, they're solving a problem.
Okay, so they've built you this amazing automation. Awesome. But what happens next? What happens in 3 months when something breaks? This brings us to our next critical section, making sure this thing actually works for the long haul.
This is a question so many people forget to ask, but it's vital. How will you help us maintain and troubleshoot this thing after it goes live? Because let me tell you a little secret about automation. It is never, ever set it and forget it.
I mean, think about it. The apps you use get updated. Their APIs change. Your own business processes evolve. Things are going to need a tune-up eventually. It's just a fact. A good consultant knows this. They don't run from it. They plan for it. Their job isn't done when it's built. It's done when your team is fully equipped to manage it.
So what does good support look like? Well, the absolute bare minimum is that they hand it off with crystal clear documentation so your team can take over. But honestly, the best case scenario is when they do that, plus they train your team, and they offer some kind of ongoing support package. That way you know you're covered no matter what. All right, process, check. Support plan, check. Now we get to the part that really matters, the results. This is where we stop talking about promises and start demanding proof that this investment is actually going to pay off.
This might just be the most important question you ask. How are we going to measure whether this is actually working? Remember, you're not doing this just to feel more efficient. You're doing it for real, measurable outcomes, like hours saved, leads processed, or revenue increased.
A really great consultant won't even start building until you've both agreed on what success looks like. They'll help you set clear KPIs. They'll give you a way to track the return on your investment in both time and money. And they'll build dashboards or logs so you can actually see the results for yourself.
And finally, you have to ask for their track record. Just be direct. Can you show me case studies or results from businesses that are similar to mine? Because at the end of the day, their past performance is the best predictor of your future success.
And listen to this. This is the kind of answer that should make your ears perk up. It's specific, it's measurable, and it's relevant to you. When you hear an answer like this, you know you're talking to someone who doesn't just promise results, they actually deliver them.
So, let's pull all of this together with one final litmus test. When you ask all of these questions, something important happens. You automatically shift your mindset. You stop thinking about just buying a service, and you start looking for a real partner.
And that's what you're really after. You're not just looking for a tool builder, someone who can technically connect app A to app B. You're looking for a genuine problem solver, someone who is curious about your business and wants to understand the why before they even think about the how.
Because at the end of the day, this is the whole point. Good automation shouldn't feel like some complicated, mysterious black box that you're afraid to touch. It should feel like leverage, pure and simple, something that makes your entire business stronger.
So as you go into your next conversation with a potential consultant, just keep this one final question in the back of your mind. Are they offering you leverage, or are they just selling you another mystery? The answer to that? Well, that's everything.